What's up, YouTube? Capital G here, Duel commentary. Alright, so we got Kenny K, the Infernoids specialist of Dueling Network. Starting to become my favorite player. He's like the only person that will consistently run the deck. 1510 versus 240 Yugioh, 90. 1092. Oh, this is a run back too. I think this totally can be Sir Tellarknights versus Infernoids. You guys know how I feel about Tellarknights. I think they're the best deck in the game, but not against this matchup. This matchup is the death and the bane of them. Alright, so it looks like all Yugioh did was just set a whole bunch of back row, which can be dangerous against this deck because they have Lila and they have that one Infernoid guy who can like go after back row, and I don't know. Alright, so Kenny K opts to use Charge of the Light Brigade, hits a blaster and an Infernoid, so you definitely like those mills. And I wonder what he's going to follow that up with. I mean, I would expect a Lila here. Okay, so he opts to get Lumina instead. Maybe he has a bigger play. Or maybe he might want to trade the Lumina in for a couple new cards with Solar Recharge. That's always part of the plan sometimes. Kenny K seems to be thinking. Okay, so he is. He's going to trade the Lumina in to get some new cards. And now he gets to mill two more Infernoids, including the big chicken. I almost want to call him the big dart chicken, but he's still fire. But the card looks a lot like Garunix to me. I think the artwork is amazing. Alright, so he's going to summon some Infernoid. Alright, is this the back row guy? This is Patrulia. And yes, it is. This is the one that blows up back row. Yugioh has to read it, and that's never a good thing. But I mean, let's be real. I just had to read it too, so. I just know that they have two 18s, and I think one blows up back row, and the other does something. The other blows up a monster, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, I don't think either one can attack when they use their effects, but it doesn't matter if you're plussing. You know what I mean? You basically are you're simplifying the game, and you're going +1. So that's just a good thing. So he's going after his back row, and with nothing really on board, I don't really... Okay, so it's Mystical Space Typhoon. And I was like, what deck could really respond? I mean, oh boy, looks like he's going to use another one. And I think that's the evac guy that he just banished. And it looks like he's going to go after more back row. And let's see, hopefully it's not another MST. I mean, you'd think that maybe you have an evac or something, a Book of Moon, anything. So maybe you can attack over him. Because you don't have to worry about taking any damage unless he opts to exceed. It's Breakthrough Skill. And he plays Max C. Oh, that was a terrible decision. I think Kenny K is just going to pass. Let me make sure to see if these guys are just monsters. If these are any cards, okay, you contribute, target one card. Oh my goodness. That's even worse because he could totally just banish the Breakthrough Skill during your end phase or something. So, Yugioh just scoops it up. That couldn't have went any worse for him. Having both of his back row blasted by, Patrulia, and then on top of that, getting nothing out of the Maxi. Yeah, that duel couldn't have gone any worse. He says that he bricked. I don't really think that was necessarily bricking, because if you would have played against Burning Abyss, let's be real, your hand would have been great. You'd have drawn one off of Maxi, especially if the player would have went like, they didn't have Tour Guide, and they would have went like, alright, Special Summon Graft, you know what I mean? Like, or Special Summon Sir, you would have drawn one, and then they would have been committed to summoning something else. Like, your hand was actually pretty good. It just was awful against what Kenny K did. Kenny K used, I wonder why he didn't opt to use Breakthrough Skill and protect the MST though. I guess he thought something bigger was coming. Alright, so Yugioh is going to go first. I don't necessarily agree with that, but I guess what it tells you, just got to do it, what you got to do. Alright, so he summons Deneb. Looks like he's going to go for Altier, probably. And there it is. The question is, how does he basically have a follow-up? He plays Pot of Duality. A Dimensional Fissure would be so huge here. I think you have to take the warning, obviously. Just because it stops reasoning and it stops those big plays that Infernoids want to do. Yeah, Dimensional Fissure seems like it would be really good. Like if you could have Dimensional Fissure and then you could, you know, use warning on like a Lila or something, you'd be in such good shape. outside of that, I don't know. I've said many times, I'm not really sure that there is the perfect answer if you're playing S Knights against Infernoids. Like, I don't really know that they have a great game plan, just because I don't think that one exists right now. Dimensional Fissure would be good. I've actually started suggesting maybe Iron Wall, depending on if the deck starts becoming like potentially meta. So he banishes 2. I'm not super familiar with this guy, Piatti. Alright, so you banish 2. When this card inflicts battle damage, you can send 1 random card. Oh, basically you get to get 1 card out of your opponent's hand. That's not bad, because battle traps are kind of 50-50. And Satellar, so if he's not playing a battle trap, that could be huge. But I mean, you could breakthrough skill him or something like that. Fiendish Chain him. So he gets rid of the only card in his hand, which is obviously Altair. And that's really bad. It goes to the graveyard though. It doesn't get banished. And now Hiromi is just, I mean, he's in top decking mode after 1 turn. Especially for it to be a turn where he opened up with 6 cards. I mean, that's not really good. And usually I would think that, oh, okay, you could fight back with Call of the Haunted. That's what you usually do against most decks, but not when a deck has every monster and the whole archetype has DD-Crow built into it, and you try and do that and you're just like, DD-Crow. DD-Crow, the one monster in your graveyard that you really want to get back, which is Deneb, because if you call for Altair, it's like, what does that do without Deneb? Alright, so while Hiromi has card advantage, I feel like he doesn't have tempo advantage. He doesn't have monsters on board, and oh man, anytime you're setting is a bad thing. Maybe that's Vega or Una. I think I'd rather just take the direct attack than just sacrifice a monster, because what if that's Una and then you top deck a Vega? Like, you could have totally been in business. Alright, so Kenny K pitches Lumina, a card that he can't even use, to draw 2. Depending on what he mills will probably determine what he does next. A wolf will be savage here. Alright, so he gets himself another Infernoid. And, oh man, another Lumina. Okay. So, he actually can do some stuff now. A Torrential would be nice. That'd be like a godsend. I've actually started seeing some players migrating Torrential back into the deck. So, I assume he's gonna, okay, well, there's that Solemn Warning. I guess he was gonna opt not to use Lumina's effect because he knew that he had the warning, or I mean, I don't know. If he would have discarded an Infernoid, it pretty much would have been the same, since you can summon them from the graveyard as well. All right, so Kenny K probably won't have any follow-up plays because his graveyard isn't the greatest right now, or maybe he will. So he uses Monster Gate, and he's looking for something good here. I call this risky business because you're giving up a monster that could easily probably give up the back row, or that could get over the what's called. Ooh, Vanity's Emptiness. Awesome response there. Does he still mill? Oh wow, you still mill, you just can't summon. I totally did not know that. Okay, so he's getting a ton of Infernoid. Well, just 1 really. I don't want to overhype it. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, that was insane. He got himself 6 Infernoids, and I think Kenny K might have to take that one. Oh my goodness, the MST. That is nuts. The MST on the back row, and Vanities is gone. That might have been one of the most savage monster gates I've ever seen. I didn't know that you still got the mill. I guess it's because you don't negate the activation of, you're not negating the activation of a monster gate. You're just negating the summon. So yeah, I guess it's not the same as Royal Oppression or Solemn Warning or something. Alright, so it looks like he's gonna activate Oasis of the Dragon Souls. You might as well now, while your opponent doesn't have a DD-Crow effect on field. The problem is, I don't think you can mount. I don't see a way that you can mount. He gets himself an Altair, and right now, Kenny K, since he knows that he probably can't game him, I don't know that he is in any rush to try and throw a bunch of random damage. I mean, I guess if maybe he would have summoned Big Chicken first, Big Chicken would have nuked the board basically. I guess that would have been a little different, but I think he's basically saying, all right, I can't game you, but what I can do is I can mount you. All right, so this is the one, a Tundel, which lets you basically attack and then banish. So I don't even think he's going to summon Big Chicken because I'm not really sure that there's a point. Okay, or he can totally summon Big Chicken. I wonder why he didn't summon Big Chicken first and just nuke the board. I mean, let me just make sure I read this. When this card is special summoned, you can destroy all monsters on the field. Okay. So, again, doesn't it seem like it would have made a little more sense to nuke the board first and then summon Untundale second? Or do you have to summon him in a special order or something? Cause like, to me, it seems like he would have, done it the other way around. But either way, I don't know if Hiromuyo could have came back just because he was going to lose probably all three of his monsters. He would have attacked this, banished this, and then Big Chicken would have attacked the Altier, and then he would have been sitting on a position where this dude this guy basically is Herald of Perfection. He gives up a monster and he negates anything. So Altier would have been negated, or he could have used the DD Crow effect with this guy, and he would have basically been just getting smacked around by Big Chicken. And, you know, he still had Blaster in the graveyard too for next turn. So he kind of would have needed like Regeki plus, well, no, Regeki wouldn't have worked because he just would have negated Regeki using Big Chicken's effect. I don't think that match was winnable. The Monster Gate plus the MST, way too much. Thank you guys for watching as always.